reason I narrow it down, the answer to your question, to one word, is because if you do not have trust, you have nothing. It's extremely difficult to develop your trust with other people. But once you lose it, it's even more difficult to bring back. And today, as we look around our country, we are lacking in trust. What do I mean? Look at Congress. It's never ever been at a lower level of trust. Nobody trusts our political leaders today. Look at our principals, our presidents of academia. Many of them are not trusted. They've become political animals. Greed, filled with greed, money, money, money. What is being lost is a proper education. In addition to that, you can look at some so-called church leaders. People have lost trust in many of our church leaders. The direction that the country is going in today is lacking in principles. And when one lacks in principle, one cannot have trust of the voting public. And that's where we are. And it's a very, very critical juncture, I believe, that we're in. Political correctness and diversity are going to kill us. Let's recognize that there are different cultures around the world. Let's recognize that our form of government, the republic, is not always appropriate for all other countries. So don't force it on them. When dealing in international affairs, in order to develop trust, get to know the people, learn the language, establish the trust in understanding their culture. Be humble. Don't always give answers. Listen. 90%, I believe, of communication is in listening. We are not very good listeners, and we are not very good students of history. All of that is very valuable to establish trust.
Could you describe what you think each individual could do to enhance trust in their relations with other people and within the culture generally?
Well, I think in order to establish trust, you have to be who you are. Don't pretend to others that you're something else. Being humble, listening to their needs, listening to the direction that they feel is appropriate. I've had some great opportunities in my journey. First, I think my greatest education came as a combat officer in Southeast Asia with airborne rangers. I mean, these were tough guys, but we had a mission. We communicated clearly, and I listened. And thank goodness, the first tour, my team sergeant, Ralph Joseph Bleskin, I listened to. This was an incredible human being. Very different background compared to mine. An orphan out of Chicago, 2 tours as a flamethrower with the Marine Corps in Korea. Went into the priesthood. After months in the seminary, realized this is not the direction I think I'm suited for. Ended up becoming an airborne ranger, and we put together a team with the 101st. So, getting back again to your question, in building that trust, you listen to the people that are under your leadership. You respond to their needs if justified. But every decision that you make should be made on principles, not on personal greed or personal advancement. Think of the whole. Everything that we deal with is a team. It's a team effort, and it's the synergy that comes from that team effort will allow you to accomplish your mission. Whether it's bottling wine, whether it's the production of black pearls, whether it's a small entrepreneurial company, whatever the product is, that's a widget. It's the people that are working with you, not for you, with you, that will accomplish your goal.
What do you have to say to young people these days about the importance of leadership, or really the importance of building trust? Is there any prescription you have for today's young people? You taught for 18 years at the Honors College. What would you say to them now?
Don't go through life thinking that this world owes you something. We don't owe you anything. What you accomplish is what you work hard for and deserve. We have a society that's being developed by the lack of leadership, if you will, that everyone thinks they're owed something. Look at the subject of health care. They're telling you now that this is a right. Where did that come from? A college degree. You have a right to go to college. Some are even suggesting you don't even have to pay for it. This does not develop proper work ethics, and it certainly doesn't develop trust, because once the reality hits, you say to yourself, wait a minute, it isn't what that guy said it was going to be. And it's not. It's up to you. No one's going to do it for you. So grab yourself by your britches, work hard, put in the time, and do it on your own. It's the entrepreneurial spirit that made this country great. Our government owns nothing. When they tell you they're going to give you all of this for free, they don't have the ability to do that. It's your money. So take it upon yourself to be responsible. And responsibility today with the youth is lacking.
You know, you've spoken about government and our relationship with government. And I'm wondering if you have any advice for those in leadership in government on how to rebuild trust. You opened this segment with how lacking that was. I wonder what we could do to repair it.
First of all, term limits. They're getting too comfortable, too fat and happy. They're passing laws. I'm specifically now directing my comments towards government, which is a major concern today. We also see this in business leadership, in corporate leadership. They're all padding their own feather bed. They're not representing their employees or their constituency. We need to have term limits so they can't just continually on a day-to-day basis be preparing themselves for the next election. Any law that is passed must pertain to the leader. He must abide by these laws that he approves, whether he's a corporate CEO or whether he's a politician. The people are the ones that need to take charge of this country. It's not a handful of bureaucrats. So in order to develop trust, get out of that comfortable office, get back to the people that you're representing, and find out what their needs are and focus on that. Don't be self-centered on your own personal needs and padding your future as a government animal that lives off of the federal government or lives off of the corporation that you're running. These exorbitant salaries are totally out of line, in my humble opinion. So let's get back to reality. And by getting back to reality, taking responsibility for your actions, In turn, you will develop trust with the people that you're leading.
It sounds in many ways like the problem, or one dimension of it, is that the leaders, people in leadership positions, have become egotistical, and they think that the job, if you will, is about them rather than about the people they serve. Is that something central to what you're saying? Have I understood that?
There's no question. I think I can make a broad statement that 90% of the problems in the world today are because of greed. Whether you're talking environmental problems, whether you're talking about financial problems, whether you're talking about ideological problems, it's all based on greed. Greed of a few individuals that are so inwardly focused. They're not thinking what is best for my community, what is best for my country, what is best for the world. Because I tell you what, it ain't about you. Even though you get in this perfumed environment, in these idyllic offices with a great view, it's not about you. Cut yourself down to who you really are. Be a principled person. Don't always look inwardly as to what is best for you. This me is consuming us. Think about the others, the ones that put you in that position. Then, and only then, will you start developing trust.
Bevan, you've mentioned leadership, political leadership, and the lack of trust. What about the media?
Interesting point, Stu. The media today is probably at the lowest ebb it's ever been in our history. What we refer today as journalists are not journalists. They're opinion givers. One of the greatest rags, if you will, in this country that was highly respected throughout the world is the New York Times. Where is the New York Times today? It's become a sensational rag. Nothing to do with facts. Everything to do with sensationalism that's not backed up by facts and is referred to now as false media. Well, this is sad because in my youth, people listened to three elements: your doctor, your minister, and your daily newspaper. Today, nobody trusts your daily newspaper. That's tragic. Loss of trust.
Bevan, that was remarkable. I think a prescription for major cultural change. I want to thank you very much. And to the viewer, I want to invite them to continue the conversation by writing comments to me at Integrity Intensive, Facebook, or at the website, and provide some commentary to these very provocative and frankly inspirational comments by my guest today.